Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another live stream of Hearthstone. So we're on our European account, which means our daily quest is not quite traded over yet. Uh, we only need to do two things today, but one of those is going to be Paladin and Warrior victories, so that puts us in place to play a casual or ranked play. Let's see. The question I suppose we need to ask ourselves is, do we, on our European account, even have a Paladin or Warrior deck that's not designed around some really ridiculous things? This custom Paladin, if we were to type in Murloc, do I have no other Murlocs? Was that what I was trying to do, is make a Murloc deck and I had none left? Let's see. Deal 3 damage, draw a card. It is possible that I just collected these Murlocs. So let's see. What else would I like to get rid of? Well, I guess I'll take that back. No, I won't take that one back. I'll take that one back. And while we're here, let's at least change this to Murloc, so we know what deck this is. That's something to start with, at least. Let's see now. As far as where we are, we're at rank 20 on both, which I suspect. Wow, I have like 2 Murloc decks too. Like, everything is just gonna be a Murloc deck. So let's just play on casual. There's no way my European account is gonna ever get anywhere. Not a ton of news this. What is today? Today's Monday, January 15th. We are halfway through January, which that's kind of a nice thing to realize, because halfway through January, my recordings are up to March and April. I'm still kind of wondering though, like May the 4th, when we get to that, like, which won't be too far, I don't know how I'm gonna do a Star Wars series or two on May the 4th when I'm doing 30-minute episodes that are going for a month and a half to 2 months, to maybe even, in some cases, some games might be stretching as long as 3 months long. I don't know how you do a special month like that. And then that only gets more compounded when you talk about October. Like, maybe what will happen in October is we will just double the amount of content. Like, and the got free month of November. The thing that's weird here is I feel like I was making progress on locking in what I wanted to do as far as the schedule on my channel with October, particularly. Like, every year I've done horror games in the month of October, and then the got free of November makes sense. Now, the December Christmas games concept was a big failure. There's just not enough Christmas games out there that are worth playing. Usually if there's a Christmas edition of a game, it's because it's a cheap mobile game port or just a scam of some other kind. Which seems odd. You would think that there would be enough games out there that had special Christmas versions, but it's not the case. Should I play this now, or I'm just gonna play this and this. How about that? So yeah, I don't know how to convert back from 30-minute episodes that are really long to shorter 45 to hour-long episodes. With the YouTube demonetization issue continuing to go, and I assume it's just going to get worse and worse until there is some good news that Google, the parent company of YouTube, is going to eventually step in here, and they're going to pay more attention to some of the content creators, the top content creators, the ones PewDiePie and Logan Paul were included in as preferred partners, to make sure that their content is appropriate. Honestly, for the preferred partners program, since you're talking probably less than 100 people are in that program, that is like the biggest of the biggest people, why not just vet all that content? Like, sure, YouTube can't look at every single video before it goes up for every single creator, but they could certainly look at every single video that goes up from the preferred partners. And that's, I think, what they're going to do, because Google says they're going to bring in as many as 10,000 employees to look at videos. And frankly, that would be nice. That would be a good way to create some jobs in the United States and possibly around the world, probably around the world, is just pay people to watch YouTube videos. Anyways, I don't want to get into too much of that. There's another thing on YouTube that came out and kind of reaffirmed what they had already said and what were already the rules as far as child content. And it really wasn't terrible rules that they put out there. It's very reasonable things for the most part, of just like, does it have violence? Are you calling your name? Is a kid being called names? Is the kid being bullied? Is the kid in some state of undress that might be perceived as inappropriate? Like psychological and physical violence. The only thing it was, in reading their PDF that they put out, at the bottom of one list was something that said, is it biased? And what they defined biased as is, are you mispronouncing this child? Which, when you're talking like child content, I don't know what you're doing there. But it's ironic that YouTube, which is super biased, it's run by super biased people, heavily liberal people, would even dare speak the word biased against in the opposite without showing their own hypocrisy. So I imagine, I guess that what that's saying is, if a natural born male 2-year-old had gender confusion and said he wanted to be referred to as a girl, and you made a video that said, this is not a girl, this is a boy, he was born a boy, that would not be family friendly content according to YouTube. But I mean, I'm blowing that way up. There was 18 other things I would estimate that were realistic and reasonable. And what they mean by child family friendly content is stuff that would get into the YouTube Kids app, which, whatever. Like, for me, trying to get into the Kids app, it will never happen, because there's video games include blood, guts, and guns, and that's what's getting me demonetized most of the time by the automatic thing. And with the exception of the Minecraft Wheels on the Bus video I made like 3 years ago as just an experiment, none of my content was ever directed at young children. I'm assuming YouTube Kids app is for 3-year-olds and younger. Honestly, they shouldn't be the same system at all. It should be this opt-in system where you put a video on YouTube and then you fill out an application and say, I'd like this to be on the YouTube Kids app, and then it would have to be thoroughly vetted and allowed in. Something along the lines of like a Netflix style service, not just an algorithm run service. And inherently, I don't think anything that they said was new, so I don't think anything they said is actually going to fix or change their inaction on the ElsaGate videos, which is really what people wanted to do. Speaking of YouTube, we might as well just go through all of their YouTubes. Like, YouTube really dropped the ball on the whole Logan Paul thing, and then they came back and said that the video did violate community guidelines and we've taken appropriate actions. And as far as I can tell, no appropriate actions have happened, unless just Logan Paul is not talking about it and he did actually get a community guideline strike on his channel. Like, that would have been the appropriate action. And frankly, for Logan Paul, from what I hear, there's probably been 4 or 5 community guideline strikes that could have been put on his channel and should have been, just so everybody is being treated fairly and treated the same way on YouTube. And it wouldn't have been terrible for that one video for YouTube to really just straight up ban him. Like, that I think would have been a fair, correct response. Logan Paul just getting banned, then he could show up on his brother's video channel and say, well, I got banned, I deserve this, and I'm gonna move forward and just be like a guest host on Jake's channel. Although I'm not even sure how the system, the banning of YouTube works. Are you banning the person or are you banning the channel? Like, I think you're probably banning the person. So maybe even Logan Paul showing up on somebody else's video might get somebody else's video banned. But yeah, it does make a lot of sense that they should have done something. A community guideline strike would have been the minimum slap on the wrist that they should have done, and it doesn't seem like they did that. Clearly, the people in charge of YouTube wanted the Viners on their channel, and they wanted to bring in a new audience via the Viners. And now that they've got that new views, I think they should probably drop them if they become problematic. Vine is dead, so you could kick some Viners off, and they would not have them very far where many other places they could go. I don't think Vimeo is still up. Logan Paul might be big enough to make his own website and host his own video, but if PewDiePie couldn't do it, I don't think Logan Paul could do it. And that would be an interesting question as to why PewDiePie didn't just make his own service. Or maybe he still will. Moving on, Battleborn 1944's lead explains that they're making a competitive first-person shooter in World War II because they are a fan, I believe, of the Call of Duty World War II franchise. Is what I think I was seeing on this article. I don't see it now, however. So, any first-person shooter, particularly set in World War II in the past, is not going to interest me very much. And it's hard to even read this article and care. This was from 5 days ago, and They're kickstartering the game, and it's going in early access February 1st. And is there anything else that can be learned or said about it? I don't think really there is. So if you want to do that, that's going to be a new opportunity. There is, I suppose, this weird truth to militaristic first-person shooters is they constantly are always going for realism, so they constantly need to upgrade. There's no way around. No way around those upgrades, and then the need for that. If you made a Borderlands artistic style World War II shooter, it probably wouldn't play, and we are probably, I would assume, already at least one generation past anybody who has any actual real world experience of World War II. I don't think there are too many World War II veterans out there playing World War II shooters. And that does some weirdness. Can I do this? No. So we'll do this. We'll do this. And we'll do this. And take that. I don't know how gaming related. Well, this is gaming related. There's this website I heard about called Exophase, EXOPHASE, that will track your PSN, Xbox, Steam, and Origin Blizzard activity. So it kind of merges all of your activity and trophies and achievements together, which is cool. And the reason I heard about them is that they've integrated support for RetroArch achievements or retro achievements, which means that you can get achievements for doing some simplistic things like playing very old games, for instance arcade games, NES games, Super NES games, things that didn't have achievements built in. For the most part, I think the way that works is there's a specific site that creates the challenge, the achievement, and if you accomplish that achievement, then it reports back to that website that you did. And so Exophase may actually be integrating into the secondary website. However, that being said, I think I will probably make an account on Exophase just to see what it's like. Alright, we're getting our victories playing on casual, and that's not too bad. Kotaku, so take it with a grain of salt, has posted an article saying David Cage's Quantic Dream is accused of being a toxic workplace, which I'm not sure if this is directly accusing David Cage or some other people or just everybody there. Like, frankly, in my experiences, a lot of workplaces are toxic, so there has been a severe underreporting of toxicity, and I hate to use the phrase toxicity at all, but there's been a severe underreporting of hostility and just bad behavior in workplaces in the video game world. That being said, maybe if you're a high-level video game creative person, maybe it is a little bit more hippy-dippy and everybody's friends type mentality than, say, working in a factory or something. Alright, let's read this whole report, or most of it. Reports in 3 separate French outlets. So this is Kotaku re-reporting from French outlets, which I have no clue what the level of credibility is for any French outlet whatsoever, even if they named them, which they didn't. So they're failing to name sources. Depict a pattern of inappropriate behavior, sexist and homophobic jokes. Well, wait a minute. If it's sexist jokes, that might just be French, all of France. An overall toxic environment at Quantic Dreams. Something the video game studio's executives strongly deny. Let's see. This is one of those scenarios where I really would want every single statement printed, every single claim printed, so I know what they're claiming are the jokes and what the context of these jokes are. There's an update here in response to request for comment. CEO Guillermo del Fulmari, I totally didn't pronounce his name right. He's the CEO of Quantic Dreams, gave the following statement. Let's see. Quantic Dreams categorically denies the allegations. As for myself, I'm furious and outraged by these accusations, which I take very seriously, and will take all possible legal actions to defend my honor. So, and here's the problem and the erosion of due process. Here's no denial is ever a good enough denial for some. So if I take him on his word, then these are false accusations. If I don't take him on his word, then everything the CEO just said is a lie. According to Le Monde's report by way of Eurogamer, gosh, like, here's the problem of video game news reporting here, is that, like, we're going to report on a report of a report. Why not go to the source? Why not verify your own information? You shouldn't be just trusting other video game reporters. Like, it is so easy and so likely that it has happened many times that a video game reporter has simply misreported or made something up, and all the other outlets just reported as fact without doing much, if any, research. 5 foreign employees filed a complaint in spring of 2017 against the company and one of the employees for circulating degrading images. In February of 2017, a trove of 600 photoshops of various employees that were homophobic or sexist in nature, some of which even included Nazi symbols, were discovered by an IT manager who had been the subject of one of them. The files dated back to 2013, and some were even displayed in the open spaces, although studio heads David Gage and the CEOs, whose name I can't pronounce, Guillemot is his first name, claimed they weren't aware of the offensive ones. So what this sounds like to me is, it sounds like to me that somebody either thought of themselves as a caricature artist, which, you know, France, caricatures, you know, people on the streets that do silly versions of people with, usually the people are drawn with giant heads. Somebody either thought of themselves as one of those, or somebody was one of those, and did pictures for everybody at the company, or a lot of people at the company, and maybe they were doing it just for their own private amusement, and and they kept it on the company servers. Like, here's the problem with pictures. Like, you can interpret a joking parody as offensive, or you can take it as a joke pretty easily. So I now would like to see some of these pictures and see what it is. I suppose here's a good question to ask yourself, as I try to be as objective as I possibly can be reading this story. How can a picture be homophobic or sexist? Like, what do you write on there? Is it somebody just put a word bubble saying I'm gay there, or somebody put a word bubble that says I'm smoking hot? Like, what did they do? Now, on the Nazi symbols element, at the very least, you kind of get that. Ironically, I think I got in trouble in junior high school for doing something somewhat similar to blow off steam. And just, I was making a personal joke and writing it down, and the teacher saw it and made a very big deal out of something that was a tiny, just steam relief, pressure relief valve. You can see a small sample of the photoshops discovered over at Kennard PC. One includes a picture of a male stripper with David Cage's head holding a power tool with a marital aid affixed, which you shouldn't do that at all, because the power tools always will cut and break and destroy the marital tool and hurt people. It's a stupid thought that lots of people have. Okay, I see what they're doing now. They're not even character drawings. These are just Photoshop cut and paste things. They're just cutting and pasting the head. Yeah, there's only a couple of pictures on this website that you can see. So the thing here, while I could see why that would be offensive, is if these are not endorsed or allowed, and if you can't show that somebody was actually allowed to do this, you just have one employee who's doing a lot of stuff in private, and on some occasions may have put maybe the non-offensive versions of this in a public place. So this feels like a rogue employee. This doesn't feel like a toxic workplace environment. In my mind, for a workplace to be toxic, again, I have to use that word, which I prefer not to, it has to be something that is being done by a manager, really, somebody who has power. Like, if this is simply the intern doing this and nobody knows about it, which that seems like that's the case. It seems very much like they're saying, of course my story is slightly changing as I read more and more, and I fully see that that's the case. My understanding of the story is changing. Like, let's see. According to an email on 27 obtained by Le Monde, Uh, the CEO, I think, recognized that the Photoshops had existed for years and were a mistake. The outlet reports that the former employee who filed the complaint, the issue is less with particular instances of offensive office jokes, but rather the over toxic work environment they allegedly were born from them. This includes allegations of long work weeks, sexual misconduct at work parties, and occasional racism. Well, here's the problem. Why are we talking about the pictures if your real complaint is long work weeks, sexual misconduct at workplace parties, which is just really a good argument to never have workplace parties. I don't know why anybody wants to have a work party ever anyways. It's such a stupid idea. Like, first of all, you shouldn't be so in love with your job that you want to party there. You shouldn't be so in love with your co-workers that you want to party with them. And occasional racism, well, okay, like that again, who said what, where, and how was it dealt with? None of those things, for the life of me, seem like they have any connection at all to some stupid Photoshop somebody made. 2 people told the paper that once, after reviewing surveillance footage of a burglary at the company, catch us to employee if one of the perpetrators was their cousin, calling these charges an utter absurd. One of his responses, you want to talk about David Cage's responses, if you want to talk about homophobia, I work with Ellen Page, who fights for LGBT rights. You want to talk about racism, I work with Jesse Williams, who fights for civil rights in the USA. Judge me by my work. And that is, I think, slightly a fair thing. It's like, if he was truly homophobic and truly racist, he probably, David Cage in particular, wouldn't be working with people like that, probably. This is one of those this is probably one of those scenarios, though, where you can never be liberal enough for some liberals. Like, regardless of what you do, there's always something that they'll find, if they want to find something on you and use against you. Some liberals, extreme liberals, just can't be satisfied. And the same is true for extreme conservatives. Detroit Becoming Human comes back into the story, where they had the controversy of domestic abuse. But I mean, even if it was a poor attempt, that the depiction of domestic abuse in that trailer is clearly there to bring up the subject and denounce domestic abuse. It's not there to aggrandize it, and it really has nothing to it. And then there were some people that said that the concept of an abusive robot owner who also was abusive to his daughter might be misogynistic, because a clearly bad guy was doing a clearly bad thing. I mean, you can't, that's what I'm saying about some liberals can never be satisfied, is you can't even depict a male domestic abuser against females without being called a misogynist. So you can't say anything ever and satisfy some people. The employee accounts reporting money point to David Cage being difficult to work with. Sure, difficult to work with makes sense. Despite good pay, the paper reports there's a high turnover at Quantic Dreams, with some 50% people leaving between 2015 and 2016. For a video game company, that number means nothing. For all I know, that they were all asked to leave, laid off, or fired. many to depression or general burnout. Yeah. Yeah, so this is really just a kind of more of a hit piece than actual reporting. Like, they're all over the board. They've got this story about some employee somewhere. That they're not saying that either the CEO or David Cage made these Photoshop images. For all I know, the only reason why the Photoshops weren't deleted is they were being held by the legal team on some server in case this very thing came up, and they didn't want to be accused of destroying evidence. These Photoshop images on their own should have no real bearing on the other accusations, and there's no reporting or actual stories on these other accusations. And frankly, talking to a reporter is not as good as talking to whatever France's equivalent of the labor board would be, which I imagine there is just a French labor board. And that's all before I throw out the spurious claim that maybe French people are just difficult in general and complain in general. So, like, if you want to talk about racism, I guess that's I'm just gonna throw out that stereotype there. Yeah, this is not a story. It could have been a story if they had gotten actual evidence, actual reports, actual filings, done anything that was actual news reporting, without starting from a biased position and just trying to find evidence to confirm your biased position. And this is the problem of people getting paid $30, which is the estimate I've heard for writing an article. It's like $30, you don't do any research. Why would you? It's not worth your time. You don't do any research, you don't do any good reporting, you just write stuff. Now I'm looking at the Eurogamer article of the same thing. Nope. It doesn't seem like there's anything different or worthy of being reported differently on the Eurogamer one. I've lost this one, but that's fine. I'm gonna be fine. Not video game related, but after bonus announcements at Walmart, they fired thousands of co-managers and replaced them with cheaper workers. This is pretty typical. Like, the Republicans in the United States gave huge tax breaks to the wealthiest of the wealthy people, and they give bonuses to themselves and then do nothing to trickle down the middle class, which there really is no middle class in the United States. There is only an extremely wealthy class and the lower poverty class, and they certainly aren't doing anything to help the poverty class. If anybody could, everybody should probably boycott Walmart and not buy anything there, but the prices and the low pay from other jobs make it very difficult to afford food and clothing without going to Walmart. This is the problem of giant semi-monopolies, duopolies. Sure, there is a little bit of competition against Walmart, but there really isn't a nationwide any competition against it. And my theory of there being a wealth maximum where businesses could only have say $1 trillion worth of stuff, like whether it is inventory or revenue or whatever, like the top line of value in Walmart could only be $1 trillion, and maybe even $1 trillion is too high. If there was some kind of wealth maximum for individuals and corporations, Walmart would almost certainly be forced to be split, much like how AT&T was forced to be split into AT&T and Verizon. Now, a split like that doesn't help or solve everything, but it certainly puts you down the path to fixing things and improving it, particularly if over the years you start lowering that wealth maximum. And if people are above the wealth maximum, you just 100% tax all that stuff. Like, inherently, I guess maybe the government just needs to step in and make their own supply stores. And nobody's gonna like that if there's effectively food kitchens or food stores. Not video game related though, so I'm not gonna get into a real rant about that. Awesome Games Done Quick is done, and it got, I believe, over $2.2 million for charity. I believe it was cancer charity of some sort, whether that's cancer awareness or actual cancer treatment. It's always worth pointing out that the Susan G. Komen breast cancer charity does not actually do any kind of research or treatment for breast cancer, and spends most of its money suing other people and quote unquote providing awareness of breast cancer, as if there's anyone over the age of 18 that doesn't realize breast cancer exists. In all honesty, the thing people don't realize exists in breast cancer is that there is not as high as females, but there is a kind of high ratio of men getting breast cancer too, which is something to think about. Because honestly, if I was 18 years old and a man told me he had breast cancer, I would have assumed he was joking and laughed in his face. And I imagine most men would just say they had cancer. Moving on. There's this game called Space Invaders Extreme. If this is like Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, that might be really cool, because the first Pac-Man Championship Edition, at least, did something very interesting with that long kind of dead series. By speeding the game up. Space Invaders in particular is a game that's really slow in its original form. Also, it's black and white in its original form. So, by making this, it looks like vector graphics with colors, and if they're speeding it up, I'm gonna watch the trailer here. You can do some improvement there. Now, I think they had already kind of made a game that was similar to that. There was an evolution based Space Invaders type thing. So this might be the second attempt at doing it. It was an alright game, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. Let's just go ahead and kill this guy. There we go. Yeah, that trailer was totally useless. Well, yeah. I guess I'll find that on Steam and put it on my follow list. Let's see, we already talked about YouTube. It is worth pointing out on YouTube, though, that there was also the CEO of YouTube, which I'm hoping, and maybe there's a chance she's going to be on the outs, because, frankly, she's steering the ship into the gutter. But she made her YouTube video with a bunch of Viners and The Rock, and said she was going to make videos every week, every month, whatever. The date doesn't even really matter because she made it several months ago and never made a second video. It was a really stupid idea to think that anybody wanted her to spend her time making YouTube videos. Because you know she's not going to have the same experience. The second one of her videos gets demonetized if she tries to do any of that, engineers are probably already going to have whitelisted all of her videos and bend over backwards to treat her differently than everybody else gets treated. So that wasn't going to be helpful at all. It wasn't going to be really a learning experience. I don't think the CEO of YouTube is going to learn anything anyways from anybody, because I think she's probably closed-minded, as a lot of very biased people are. Oh, this is going to be easy now. Just play mage cards. Do we have a mage deck? No, so we need to find something. Let's just get rid of the warlock for now and make a mage deck. Let's start here, and it is not hard at all to play mage cards. I'm rather surprised that this European account has succeeded in the way it has, and it's gained more cards and and is actually sort of playable. I would have personally thought it would have taken a lot longer. There you go. We can go ahead and play ranked here because we just need to play cards anyways. Dark Souls Remastered is coming out May 25th. There we go. Oh, is this going to be it? Is this how we're going down? We're going to be disconnected from the Hearthstone server. Well, I'm about out of news too. A Switch emulator has been announced, made by the team behind the Citra 3DS emulator. We know that Wii U emulation was happening before this point. I'm not 100% cool with people using modern technology emulators. But there certainly are some arguments against it. You probably would be playing Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild at higher resolutions and higher frame rates on more powerful computers. The question is, just can you do that dance around your morals to say, well, now you're kind of probably stealing some money away from things that actually are available for sale. But I guess maybe if you bought the Switch and you bought every game you were going to emulate, and then you've supported the industry, and it's fine by me at that point if you chose to actually play the games on your PC instead. And maybe in some small way that might even push Nintendo to release their games on PC and not cause people to jump through hoops. Of course, a Switch emulator is only going to run on a PC. You're not going to get it on a single board computer like the Raspberry Pi. Just not enough GPU and CPU there. And it's going to be a few dark years, I would assume, of games not running right. Probably by the time the Switch is no longer available for purchase and Nintendo's moved on to the next thing, I would suspect that's the point where you will start to see the simulator at a very high optimization, if not close to being done. So this information's from Jim Sterling, so I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt this time. According to Jim Sterling, 50%, well, from what he read, 20 out of 40 characters will come as DLC that is purchasable. So that's kind of a high number for characters. Yeah, well, here PC Gamer is repeating the same thing. A 20 strong roster, which 20 characters isn't terrible. Like, when you think about some of the old Mortal Kombat 1, I think had 6 characters at most. 20 is an improvement over that. Let's see, 3 damage and freeze it. Let's do this. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to kill this guy. Let's go ahead and watch the video for BlazBlue. BlazBlue cross-team tag battle is including a lot of characters from animes and Ruby, which is a Western show in the style of an anime. Notice that I make a difference there. But in a weird way, BlazBlue isn't going to have probably any of the characters from Capcom and any of the characters from SNK, because that would be, you know, Capcom versus SNK. That would not be this series or this company. So they're trying to introduce like a new generation of fans to a different group of characters. So they're effectively trying to start a new series. Now, of course, the BlazBlue series is not brand new. There we go. Finally found something. With except for a Persona 3 character, all the characters I just saw on the screen were not really recognizable characters, and they particularly won't be that recognizable to Japanese people, which I think in the fighting market you're going to need to have a strong Japanese fighting game fandom, kind of in the same way that if you want to make a real-time strategy, it kind of needs to be popular in Korea and I haven't seen yet, because I'm not scrolling down, what the price of the DLC is going to be to get the season pass. Yeah, I imagine you'd want to get the season pass, but you might also want to wait. Just wait till there's a full finished version. Uh, this has been a growing problem amongst fighting games, like uh, Street Fighter 5. Also, slowly trickling out characters. Killer Instinct came back and is slowly trickling out uh, new characters. Let's hit this guy, and then hit this guy. So that may just be the future in fighting games, is that you are constantly getting shortchanged and not having the complete experience if you jump in early when the game you really need to jump in, because if you jump in late to any kind of fighting game, you probably won't have time to you probably just won't have time to get good at the game and fight other people if you're going to be an esport professional in it. It's BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle launches May 31st in Japan and June 5th in North America. Without the DLC. Interesting. Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, sometimes retweets and likes people who do cosplay of his characters and of his games, including Borderlands. And so he retweeted a like of somebody who made a Borderlands-esque character that's going by the name Nasty, and she's done like body paint and makeup to make herself look in the style of the Borderlands characters. And that's not particularly unique or interesting, but what is interesting is she put her artwork on her Steam profile. What an interesting concept. Like, you don't put your pictures on Instagram. You don't put it on like Google Photos or Google Drive. You don't put it on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. You're gonna put your art on Steam. And she has like 4 pictures, it seems, one of which is not loading. But the idea of Steam actually being a community or a social media hub is such an odd idea. It never even occurred to me. Oh, it wasn't loading because it was some kind of video. I have on my Steam account, like the Talos Principle game series uploaded just because I tried it once and never bothered to take it down. Which it's just links to YouTube videos, but it didn't really get the Talos Principle any new views as far as I could tell. Ironically, from what I hear, YouTube will recommend your videos if other websites link to your videos, but they would have to be like mostly either Reddit or other news reporting sites. So I'd have to do something like Logan Paul that was controversial, so that a bunch of news reporting sites would then link to the video. Then YouTube would promote that video. And MatPat did a interesting video talking about how this loophole just allows and encourages people that act immaturely and badly. Yeah. I don't really want to talk about this story. There's a VR game there's a movie where people get in a VR game, and it's called The Call Up. It was released in 2016. I watched it on Netflix before this. It's a bad movie. Honestly, I think the video game aspect of it wasn't terrible. It's just that being in a VR video game was kind of a pointless explanation, or it was just kind of a MacGuffin. It didn't play major parts in the actual role. Wargaming in Chicago, Illinois is looking for a UI engineer. They're looking for a UI engineer with 2+ experience in the growing Chicago Baltimore studio. The role requires a high degree of proficiency writing code in C++ and ActionScript, as well as experience with ScaleForm and Flash Studio. PlayQ is looking for a senior producer. Senior producer will work closely with internal teams, including engineer, art, and design, to coordinate all facets of development, release, and maintenance of our games. Working with a cross-functional team, you will own the timely execution and quality of the product through the entire development cycle, influencing and affecting the product roadmap and monetization stages. This is funny how Gamasutra has listed this article, because they've just taken 4 job listings and put them down to a paragraph instead of the usual one sheet large system of garbage and gobbledygook that they're asking for. It's like, one thing that has been surprising, I suppose, if I look back on all the job applications I've looked at since I've started doing that about a month ago, not a single one of them have ever required you to have any kind of proficiency in keyboarding. Like, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, certainly, you would have been required to type at least 50 words per minute without errors, or less than 5 errors or something. Like, there would have been actual tests and actual certifications for your proficiency in typing. Now people don't even care. Which is really strange when half of these jobs are coding jobs and you actually do need to be able to type sort of fast, and you actually do need to be able to work. I suppose maybe just getting a college level degree in a computer class probably weeds out anybody that is so bad at hunting and packing and typing that they don't have to worry about it at the job hiring point. But it's a little odd nobody asked for that. Next job is a lead designer at Gunfire Games in Austin, Texas. Gunfire Games is looking for someone to design, create, and implement levels and experiences powered by Unreal 4. The ideal candidate has a deep understanding of core design concepts like flow, pacing, storytelling, and structure. It'd be nice if more people understood those things in the video game industry. I'm being a little facetious there, but man, I certainly have played some games that don't seem like they understand any of that. The Evil Within, again, one that's probably a good example of not understanding flow and pacing and storytelling and structure. By the way, I'm playing Resident Evil 5 right now. I'm probably a little less than halfway through. Just to do a comparison, I wanted to play Resident Evil 4. I went back. I double checked to see if it was still locking up, and it is. Like, I think I've gotten that patch for the Spectre and Meltdown bugs in Intel CPUs now, so I thought maybe that would fix it, but no, nothing short of getting a new video card is even going to have a chance of fixing that problem. I did run 3D Mark on my PC to see what kind of performance score would be reduced by getting the patch, since they were saying there was going to be a performance hint on the patch. For me, it seems like it's 2%, like a 2% performance hint, a non-noticeable amount. Maybe that is because I have a 6-core processor and I was overpowered to begin with. Maybe it's just because I have a relatively modern thing. It is also possible I don't have that patch, and the patch isn't available yet. So I may get some patch in the future. Next Tuesday I'm at next patch Tuesday, which is I believe the first Tuesday of every month, and that might slow down my computer drastically. But if it doesn't, and I'm just taking a 2% hit, then any fears or concerns of needing to buy new hardware go out the window for that reason. I still need to buy a new video card for the fact that the 970 was a scam and a ripoff that I'm upset about, but I don't know what I can really do about that other than just save up my pennies and buy another $500 video card and hope that maybe I can wait till the next generation of video cards. Back to Gunfire Games. The ideal candidate has a deep no, we already read that. Required to be a self-starter, must be motivated and willing to work without a lot of supervision. I kind of want to see what Gunfire Games has made, because it seems like they're giving you the keys to the kingdom there. Oh, you know what they're making? They're making Darksiders 3. And that's a little concerning that they don't have enough people in there. They also made Chronos, Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, Hellbound, Spirit Champion, From Other Suns, and Dead and Buried, none of which are games I recognize. So hopefully they can do it, but there is this thought now that if it's going to be a new untested level designer making all the levels in Darksiders 3, those levels might suck. Darksiders 1 levels weren't the greatest in the first place, but if they're really, really bad, that would kind of stink. And then finally we have from Naughty Dog, a graphics programmer. Who knows where Naughty Dog is going in the future, since I think the creative director, the person who was the main person in charge of doing Last of Us, has left the company, and there's I think several other people that had already left the company. Naughty Dogs is looking for a graphics programmer to join the rendering team in development and implementation of new and existing rendering technologies for The Last of Us Part 2. The role seeks someone with strong knowledge of C and C++, as well as either a bachelor's degree in computer science or equivalent work experience. And that is in Santa Monica, California, where all the fires were, I believe. So they're telling you directly you'll be working on Last of Us Part 2. I don't know, for a graphics programmer, I guess you're programming the graphics engine. I don't know why you're still doing that in C and not C++ or C#. That seems a little strange. And we are on the Humble Bundle store. Let me go ahead and reload this. Oh, it's already reloading. It seems like this Hope for the Orphans bundle isn't really going up. Not very many people are buying it because the average is still $7.28. There's not a lot here that would want me to buy it anyways. See if there's any other new bundles. Nope. But it does seem like you can get Red Solstice for free on the Humble Store right now, and let's see. And there's like 5 only from the Humble Store games you can download right now until the 2nd of February. They aren't Steam games, so they won't go into a Steam account or anything. So that is something to keep in mind. Yeah, for me, if I have to download it and remember that I have it somewhere else, forget it. Like, I just have no way for that. You can get Tales from the Borderlands through Twitch Prime, which I already own Tales from the Borderlands, but I'll click it and claim it anyways, because you should claim all of these things just to either give money or notability to the creators. Like, Twitch is not gonna fail or succeed based on whether or not you claim these things. Apparently he had a watch and learn, and he disconnected the second he saw that I wasn't gonna win, but whatever. Now I'm back on my Twitter. I retweeted one of the artists who worked on Portal 2, and they said that they had accidentally lost a lot of the original textures for some of the Portal 2 games. There's going to be an Assassin's Creed Origins patch that lands tomorrow, giving new quests and map regions. And that's my European account done. We are good for Wednesday. Another one will show up later tonight. I started a little early this afternoon. But we're also... Mostly that is because I want to get to Resident Evil 5 and get back on it. More and more I've been having to take breaks in between every 30 minutes. Not because of anything the game is doing, it's just I'm having trouble sitting in chairs, uncomfortable chairs. And I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this challenge a friend on the Asian account, because there's no way. No way. So I only need to play warrior cards and let's see, do we have warrior cards as a class? Yeah, we already have one, so we're good to go with that. Owlboy is airing right now. There was an Awesome Games Done Quick Owlboy run that I watched most of that. Yeah, we can play him wild on ranked and play the cards. I did not like Owlboy. I don't know why so many people did like it. Frankly, watching somebody do some speedruns at the end in the boss fight, I believe I did not understand the boss fight even after I thought I had figured out the boss fight. I definitely didn't understand it at first and struggled with it, the final boss. And then I don't think I ever actually got it, because it's such a different style of fighting than anything else you do in the game. Let's see, World of Warcraft patch 7.3.5 will roll out tomorrow in North America. Free victory, that's good and all, but that's not what I needed. Needed to play cards. Well, one victory actually is one of the things I needed, come to think of it. And yeah, there's no more news. So I'll sit on my Twitter, but after this game, that's gonna be it for this stream. We'll just go into post-show play, which shouldn't be too hard. I need to get 2 more victories and play like 30 warrior cards, and then do or cheat through everything on the Americas account. And on the Americas account specifically, once I get to rank 20, that's all I kind of need to do each month. So I'm almost retiring my Americas account. It'll always be the biggest account because it will always have the most amount of it'll always have the most amount of cards. It'll always be the one that I build decks off of. But those actual decks that I build are going to be almost never played. This guy's gonna say that's incredible each time. Overall, I'm enjoying playing Resident Evil 5 for the most part, even though it is a pale imitation to RE4. It's not as bad as the Evil Within. It's a lot better than Evil Within. RE4 though, man, I wish they could just what am I even trying to say here? I got distracted reading an article. Yeah, I wish they could just remake RE4. That's all I want for the old Resident Evil games. And maybe that on-rail shooter that was on the Wii, that would be cool if that came to PC too. But it still wouldn't feel right unless I got some kind of light gun mouse accessory. Yeah, the Wii games in particular feel very funky when you don't play them on the Wii. For the few games that were directly designed only for the Wii. But yeah, just get a new engine on that RE7 engine, re-release RE4, and be done with it. You'll make all the money in the world. They kind of need to remake all the previous ones before RE4 because those games inherently, as they stand, don't work. So you need to do something different with them. Which is to say, like, have the same story happen, but redesign the entire mansion in Resident Evil 1, redo all of the scenes and actions, a full remake type thing. I don't even know if I talked too much about Strider 2014 being a full remake of Strider. It's such a worse remake of compared to the original Strider, it seems. But on its own, if Resident Evil 5 was just called something different. Like if it was just a random action horror game, I probably wouldn't be playing it right now, and I definitely wouldn't have any real love for it. Truth is Resident Evil 5 is so forgettable. I've gone halfway through the game, and some parts, like, I know the big boss battles, I know what's going to happen, but remembering when they happen is hard. Like, half the time I end up saying I don't remember what's going to happen next. Or I'll spend 30 minutes saying I think a chainsaw guy shows up at this point, but then a chainsaw guy doesn't show up. So, or a chainsaw guy does show up, but the chainsaw guy shows up for like an hour later. There's entire systems in Resident Evil that Resident Evil 5 that I don't think I even used the first time. The first 2 or 3 times I played Resident Evil. It's seems like I'll be able to beat the entire game on normal, which is a statement on how normal is now hard, and easy is now normal for a lot of games. But there's so much extra stuff with the gold edition of RE5 too. There's so much DLC. There's some DLC there that I probably never played. And there's so many extra things on top of the main game being specifically designed to be played a couple times. Like 2 or 3 times. Also, the main game is designed to be played with somebody online, and there's some weirdness there too. Let's see. Have I played enough warrior cards? Probably not. And this is going to just be one long episode when I release this pre-recorded, which this is fine. That's fine. And that doesn't really change too much. I have plenty of Hearthstone videos right now, although if I continue down this path, like, I really like January, February, March, April. Like, I might be recording things for January 2019 by the time it's April 2018 at this rate. And that's not a terribly bad thing, particularly with all of my collection being old games. Maybe with the mid-rolls on my channel, maybe revenue would start coming in to the point where it makes sense to buy new games all the time, and then I could have an extra time slot. I assume that if we are done with December 31st of 2019 before we hit December 31st of 2018, at that point I probably need to come back and add another time slot and just say, okay, I've been able to do this. The AAA games that were in my 7 o'clock time slot, I'm rather short on those. And so the definition is going to have to be stretched, and I don't know what else is going to have to happen, but I am a lot shorter on AAA games than I am point-and-click adventures. I also have plenty of other point-and-click adventures and single A and double A games that I know what to buy, whereas AAA games are going to further push me into playing like first-person shooters and games I'm just not interested in playing at all. PC Gamer just said Fortnite has broken 2 million concurrent players with their Battle Royale mode. I watched a Giant Bomb quick look of Fortnite Battle Royale. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched some of it, and it certainly does look like a game that is more polished than PUBG. It looks a little more cartoony, however, but it seems like it has more features. Dan and Abby on Giant Bomb were doing that Fortnite Battle Royale, and then they were also doing Okami HD quick looks and some other quick looks. So all of a sudden around the new year they decided to start actually covering games again, which honestly, if I can be critical of my sort of competition, I mean, I'm a poor competition of Giant Bomb, I think they just poorly handled the last quarter of 2017. Like, I know they did the whole Game of the Year stuff, but I feel like a lot of that Game of the Year stuff was not good, and I feel like before they even started doing the Game of the Year stuff, they had already checked out by December 1st. And there are games that they could have played, maybe not brand new games, but there was plenty of smaller indie games that they didn't even bother looking at, that it wouldn't have been hard for them to say, hey, does anybody know any games that are small and indie that we haven't covered on their forums that you want us to look at? You could have spent that extra time easily to do that. Abduction just went out on my YouTube channel. It's in the turn. I suppose it is also worth pointing out today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, that oddly has not a ton to do with video games. Like, other than just we have general freedom, or he fought for general freedom and equal treatment of people in the United States, which maybe that helped the video game industry in some way. Like, African Americans certainly are as good, if not better, consumers of video games as anybody else in the United States. And I don't know if there's a significant number of African Americans who have made video games, but there are certainly some out there, I would hope. It's kind of just nothing I can really report on, because this, I mean, and again, if I was to be critical of my competition, none of the other video game reporters are writing any articles like that either. If anything, I'd argue video games still have some problems of representation. A lot of it comes from, if a Japanese company is just localizing one of their games to the West, they just make all of the Japanese people look like white people, and usually that's for the best, because the Japanese people don't know how to appropriately depict black people at all. But even the games that start in the West and end in the West are not super inclusive. So, like, there's a ton of video games where you play as a white guy. Resident Evil 5 actually is a great example of that, because you play as Chris Redfield and Sheva, and while Sheva is an African lady, Chris Redfield is definitely a white American a military guy that's running around all of Africa shooting African people, and at the halfway point you start shooting African people in tribal outfits with bones through their noses, effectively. Real stereotypical stuff, and again, that just comes from, Capcom making the Resident Evil thing, Japanese people doing that. So we don't need to do all 3 of these, we just need to get 2 more victories, or maybe we'll just play Warlock cards. We've got to play some more Warrior cards too, and then now we'll get the Asian account done. And let's go over to the Americas account and just see what we're gonna do. And then we'll go over to the post-show gameplay, because there's really nothing more to talk about. Like, I try really hard when covering Resident Evil 5 because there was controversy. Some of it was blown up and just like it was over-exaggerated controversy about the appearance of racism and downright racism in Resident Evil 5. But there we go. So on this, I want to win 3 games with the Druid, and that will get these 2 done. And I might do that by actually playing, but more than likely I would just cheat to get that done quicker. Yep. But yeah, when I started RE5, I talked about it on the first episode, and then when we got to the tribal area, I talked about it, and whenever it felt appropriate, I talked about it. But I didn't want every single episode to be about that, because RE5, despite its slight problems, which it does have a few, is actually a good game. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because all that helps me out and tells YouTube that my videos are worth watching. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.